welcome to the first in what I pray is a long series of videos on the book of Deuteronomy. One of my goals for this series is to keep the videos short, and as a result I'm warning you now, you need to hang on. We are going to go fast. So let's get started in chapter 1. Now this chapter is written in 3 sections. The first section, verses 1 through 8, are really going to set up the next 4 chapters of the book. These 8 verses give us a brief history of where the Israelites have been and how they've gotten to where they are today. We know the setting of this book is after the 38 years of wandering, and we can tell that from the references to King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan. Those battles happen after the wandering takes place. Now let's take a second to put things in a bit of geographic perspective. At the time the book is being written, I believe they are actually just east of the Jordan River in an area where I've drawn that red circle. I put up some references also in the event that you want to look further and try to understand for yourself where exactly they are. Now, Kadesh Barnea, where the spies are going to go in, is actually over on the west side of the Jordan River. It is on the Egyptian border. And the route that the spies take in is very different than the route that the Israelites are going to end up taking 40 years later. In the second section, verses 9 through 18, Moses sets up an administrative structure that's designed to relieve him from the day-to-day disputes among the ever-growing population. Up until the point that he does this, he's been personally handling the disputes himself. And he's just gotten to the point where he can't do it anymore. And what he does is he sets up leaders over groups of tens, 50s, hundreds, and thousands of people. Now, the structure he puts in place is designed to do 2 things. First, it's designed to grow as the population grows. You can just add more smaller groups and large groups as you need to. But secondly, and probably more importantly, it's a structure that can outlive him and go into the promised land without him. All right, let's move on to the disobedience. And if you want more information on this, put a reference here. You can go to Numbers chapter 13 and get more detail on what actually happens. But essentially what happens is Moses selects from each of the 12 tribes a spy. So there are 12 spies that are going to go up into the land. They're told to go in and look at the land and come back and give a report to the people. So they go up. They see the land flowing with milk and honey. They cut down grapes and pomegranates and figs. And the grapes they bring back are so heavy they have to carry them on poles between 2 men. But they also come back and say, hey, there were big people. I mean, really big people there. And heavily fortified cities. And the spies report all this to the people, and the people get scared. And they come back to Moses and say, why did you bring us out here just so we could die? Moses says, hey, look, God is with you. God is telling you to go up here. All you have to do is be obedient, and he'll fight for you. They refuse to go. God hears this, and he's angered. And he tells them, look, you're not going to go into the promised land. Your children will go in instead of you. You're going to wander around this desert for 40 years until you perish. And when you've perished, then I'll send the people in. Well, the people realize at this point, we blew it. So they decide to go into the land anyway. And God has told them, no, don't go. I will not be with you. You have blown it. They go up anyway, and we see in verse 44, it says, and then the Amorites who lived in that hill country came out against you and chased you as bees do and beat you down in Seir as far as Hormah. People make it back to Kadesh Barnea, and they weep. They realize that they've blown it. Chapter 1. All right, let's land this plane. How many of us use the excuse of, I don't know what God's will is, to get out of doing something? Well, these people clearly knew what God's will was, and they deliberately chose not to do it. The results were significant. They missed out on the blessing of getting into the promised land. They got beaten back as if they were being chased by bees, and they wandered the desert for 40 years until they all died off. It's the same for us. When we ignore that inner prompting that says, you need to do something, whether it be speak up or help out or fund or any of the other ways that God presents opportunity to us, we miss out on the blessing that could have come from being obedient, and we disappoint and quite possibly anger God in the process. The next time you hear God speaking to you, be obedient. Thanks for taking the time to watch. As always, I pray that you got something out of this and that God has spoken to you during these few minutes of time that we spent together. If you like what you saw, give us the old thumbs up. More importantly, I would encourage you to click the subscribe here box, subscribe to the channel, and tell someone who needs to hear it about the channel. This is out there for people to use. Thanks a lot.